Today I'm going to show you how to gut this OEM 6.7 Cummins Crank Case filter. What we've got to do is separate this upper and lower plastic piece here. You can see it just pushes together with some little push clip type things. But to get the two plastic halves separated, we have to first separate the filter media, which you can see in here. Those two cotton type filter elements in there. That red stuff is just some glue. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some long flat screwdrivers and drive them right down the center of both of these filter medias. You can see it's outlined on the top where the filter actually sits, and that gives you an idea of how far back in there you're going to have to drive these screwdrivers to get these two sides separated without damaging either side. This long flat screwdriver is going to be my weapon of choice, and as you can tell, both of those filter elements are very saturated with oil, so it's going to be a dirty job. So here I've got the two halves separated and most of the filter material scraped off and discarded. Now I've got the glue cleaned off the upper half, but I'm still going to have to remove this third piece to clean all these tiny little particles out. Here we've got the third piece separated. It's ready for cleanup. You can see there's a little disc filter in here. You can just leave that. It's not going to cause any resistance or clog up. It's just there to help separate liquid from gases. After a lot of work, we've got all the glue scraped off the top piece, and it's ready for final cleanup and reassembly. Now in this next part, you're going to see where I did have a little boo-boo. You can probably tell my screwdriver is not long enough to reach the very back of this filter media. So there's still some hanging on when I grabbed it basically here and here. Started trying to pull it to get it separated. So when it did come apart, it basically opened up like a clamshell rather than coming straight apart like it should have. And that broke off the front half of both of these back little push pin connector type things. So what I did is I cut down some pieces of an old cheap ballpoint pen. They slid in there perfectly, and that will help stiffen this up and hopefully make it actually click back together like you can tell these front ones work. So this is how your filter sits in the truck. Basically there's your blow-by comes through here, the big hole, and kind of this, it deadheads into this right here, which is where this little wafer sits, and then you have kind of a little baffle there that kind of corrals it, and it's supposed to trap it all. All the oil is supposed to get trapped in here, and the air comes out through these holes. The oil should get trapped by this thing, and you can see this is the small hole's a drain, and there's a little trough, so it goes down, drains in through that point, and then all in here you have two long ovals of just like cotton filter material. So they'll put a big deal of glue here, big deal of glue here. Same thing here. Well, actually, this is in here. This little thing is sandwiched in between here and here. That all goes together. So then your filter media sits all right here, and one big oval, right here, one big oval, and then it has to go, so it comes out of here, and then the air has to be forced through that filter media somewhere before it can come out and go to your PCV valve, which sits right here. You can kind of see on the top where the filter media goes. Right here, these little areas where there's no glue, no filter, are what line up with here. So all the air comes out in between, and it has to be pushed out through the media. So with all this main filter media gone, we're even going to take this little disc out of here that went right there, get sandwiched in there. So it should be a free-flowing system that still catches most of the liquid and just lets air out. So without further ado, I'm going to pop these back in, these little holes right here. back together. Kind of see in there, kind of see through there. And then we're gonna take this, and this only goes in one way because you have that one goofy leg there that sticks out to the side. And these will go in here. These will go in here. Snap. Hopefully these snap. Yep, those went in pretty easy. So yeah, now you can see they're completely open in there. Now you can see where these two O-ringed nipples go into there. Double O-ring, and then that's the PCV valve. There's a double O-ring that's gonna go in here. I did wash this with hot water and soap, so I'm gonna lube these O-rings up a little before I stick it back in. Well, she thunked in there just like before, so now I got all to do is put her all back together. Now we'll start getting some oil coming out of this tube now, I'm sure, at least a little bit. So if you still have this plumbed into your intake like it is stock, you definitely want to just run this down to the ground like we have on this truck. Here's the bottom of that hose right there, just runs down so it can just drip on the ground. I think I'm actually going to put a catch can on this truck somewhere in this area right here, and yeah, catch all that oil coming out, and I'll probably just have to drain it like every oil change or so.